Join us as today we visit what must have been one of Scotland's most majestic and beautiful buildings. Welcome to the ruins of Crawford Priory. Originally built as Crawford Lodge by the 21st Earl of Crawford in 1758, it would later find its style under Lady Mary Lindsay Crawford. Under Lady Crawford, significant changes would be made to the building, and it would start to become what we see today. She actually enlisted the renowned architect David Hamilton to start the work in expanding the house, and he chose a gothic style in which that of Dunblane Cathedral to base his designs for the new building. Another architect, James Gillespie Graham, would be brought in to complete work on the house, and he took inspiration from Rosse Priory and his own Ross Priory to give it a more ecclesiastical look in some areas of the home. Here you can clearly see where the fire damaged the wooden interior of the building. A lot of fuse boxes and electrics probably for the building. Main corridor running through. Got some other apartments here. Looks like there's a lot more through there as well. Touch a subtle vault made by the bricks there. As you see tiling, which probably means this is probably some sort of bathroom here. Lady Crawford's alterations were completed by 1813. The house was dominated with a grand hall of 53.5 feet in length and 29 feet wide. Yeah, that faces other houses. I'm not worried. Okay. It had many stained glass windows, and in total there were over 50 rooms in the house. The wait for the elevator. Cable still in place, and it looks like the elevator stopped on the second floor. Last time it was used. Make our way down what would be the main corridor with some sub-rooms. An old pantry cupboard. Which was probably the back door. So this area here was probably the servant quarters, oven, kitchens and such like. And then through there would be the main building in all its grandeur. Random tree growing in a room. Another hall there looking up to some really nice fine architecture still existing. Lady Crawford lived almost in entire seclusion, apart from her staff and the animals, both wild and tame, which are said to be a great passion of hers. Oh wow, I was not expecting that. Some of the old cornice and plastering still existing. Staircase. Tiling on the floors. There's a gothic style of the
Right. Ground.
Yeah. Right way up the staircase. And see, you can see the wrought iron done in the Gothic style. There's the corridor we were just in there. You can see up into the chimneys now. Don't know if I'll venture out along that way, but certainly everything's feeling pretty sturdy. And wow, see the rubble's all falling down into the building after the roofs were removed. Tree growing. And into the main part of the building. This is a very cool place. Maybe somebody see its grandeur. But even now, you can see how magnificent the building it would have been, and the level of opulence that those who have were actually able to afford over those who did not. Oh, it's brilliant. It's great to be able to document this sort of thing before it's all gone, because within the next few years there'll probably be virtually nothing of this standing. Pulley system up there.
again, yeah, you can see they were really into their gothic designs here. Down the main corridor.
Yeah, that's great.
And then back into what we can only suppose was the chapel up there on the first floor. You see, very, very ornate, and probably that staircase led its way up to make its way to that chapel. So this is built in two different styles. Part of it was to represent a castle, the other part was actually to represent a cathedral. So we're going to, so two different architects, two different styles. So whole bottom section here was actually supposed to be one massive ballroom, and well, you can see some of the wooden doors still in place up there, and the bottom there's still a fair bit of plaster work to be seen, and even part of this tower still. Again, you can see the old doors were all done with the Gothic arches, and up into the tower. Nature is definitely reclaiming. Oh, and look at that beautiful woodwork down inside there. Absolutely untouched, managed to survive. So we think this is what would have been the main ballroom. Beautiful big doors there, still in place. Fireplace, you can see some grating on the back of it there, designed. Try and get a closer look. Fetching, yeah, the I don't know, some of the paintings that was put up in the building got a lot to be desired, but there we go. And look at these big bits of stonework and masonry that is just falling down here. Don't know if we'll be able to get much closer to that fireplace, but you can see at the back of it there was wrought iron with intricate designs. Came back over to that doorway, and yeah, what a place. That would have been a main part of one of the arches on the roof, and part of the central heating system, I would say. It has a huge big, what looks like a wrought iron fire heater through and out to the coach park. So horse-drawn carriages would pull up here, and people would be able to get out of their carriages without getting wet, because it wouldn't do for the toities to be getting wet, would it? Again, we come into what was an old tower, still got woodwork in it. Oh yes, and up to where it would be in the second floor in this main part of this building anyway. I think there's maybe 3 floors in the other parts, but in this part here it looks like it was 2 floors. And obviously with the grandeur of the great hall here and the ballroom, some glass still in the windows there. Don't know if you can see that, maybe go out and get a bit of view of that later on. And yeah, through here. Yeah, it's that room that I was looking down on from top of the staircase there. You can see how much of this is all collapsed inside the building. Again, more of the woodwork surviving. So although there was a fire here, it doesn't seem to have touched a lot of the wood. And you can see the staircase where it would have continued up.
I'm going to come down this wee bit. That's very grand.
Massive doorway into the ballroom area again. It's just, yeah, to actually try and think what this was like in its day. It was, as I said earlier, it shows you the difference between them that had and, well, at times we'll show you those that did not. But I suppose if you did have, you would have.
Tell you what, it's not bad for a crazy cat lady house.
I mean, getting back to the front of the house, which I believe was the castle side of it. Again, you can see up to that buttress there, and yeah. As we walk back in through here, you can actually see the height that the rubble that's fallen in from the various floors is created, because there's the fireplace. So yeah, it's, yeah, you can see the round pipes going up the side of the building, just inside the arches there, just making sure that it's nicely hidden from view, not to spoil the effect of the architecture. And back out to that spectacular bay window and the door that we came in. The exterior again. This is round the east side of the building. Outside of those bay windows, and looking up to what we think was the chapel. See how the building extends, and that was the complete room that was in with the archway, and you see that it was on way beyond that.
Lady Crawford died in November 1833. Her funeral service was held in the Great Hall at Crawford Priory. As part of her will, she actually made a large donation to make sure the animals that she looked after were cared for, and she also looked after her staff as well, apparently very generously.
So this here would have been where the carriages were actually brought in, and being covered, it meant that the guests arriving would not get wet, because occasionally it does rain here in Scotland, and they are being brought through this doorway here into what we think would have been the side bit, and then to the right there was the main ballroom. So this is probably some form of meeting room, or where you would sit and wait to be taken into the...
And then beyond this room is where that grand staircase was.
Oh yes, yeah, beyond this room was where that was just slightly into the left there. Yeah, so yeah, it's very cool. Again, very ornate. You've got to impress whoever's getting out of these fancy carriages, you know. You can't just have them turning up anywhere.
This is the front door.
And what we have here is what actually would have been your front doors. So these would have been the main doors to the priory, and you can see there was another set of doors there, now demolished. But yeah, and you can see the glass that I mentioned earlier on inside the lead holders there for the window, so to let plenty of light into the hallway. The carriageway entrance here was actually a later addition to the actual building itself. It was added in the 1870s as part of the ongoing modernisation of and adding to the building as it continued to grow. So this has been a very, very cool visit. In fact, this is probably one of the best abandoned buildings that I've probably done. There's just so much to see in here, and finding that staircase and being able to climb it was just something else. Yeah, we know it can be a wee bit risky being inside these buildings, but prepared to take the risk to capture this footage that, you know, in a few years might not be here. So at least we can let you see what it was like.